Okay, let the record show we've returned from the airport. Very exciting to see the endeavors and things that we've worked at diligently for the last 3.5, 4 years come to its first anniversary, and it's hard to believe that 1 year has already passed since we opened the airport. And for me, I don't know, everybody else is. It's so exciting to see something that you had something to do with, that people from this area can enjoy themselves, fly to Florida, come back, and a non-stop flight. It's just amazing. So I thank the board for taking the opportunity to do that. And with that being said, any comments from our board members at the moment? What happened out there was we had a little ceremony in its own way of customer service, talking to passengers and people who are flying out, talking about ourselves, what we do, and how the airport works, operates, and everything. The way to probably say the same thing is everything is so positive of what's going on out there. And what we realized today was the handicapped passenger has an advantage of flying out of Ogdensburg. And what happens is they don't have to go into another major airport. They get on the plane and they arrive at their destination, on, off, done, over with, and now we realize we need more wheelchairs, because I think the passenger starts to realize there is an advantage of doing business this way. So I thought it was a very positive experience today. Looking to actually see the in operation of the food service, what we didn't have last year start. So, and people were there enjoying themselves with food and beverages. Well, obviously we do not serve alcoholic beverages in our airport, but still all people are enjoying themselves, and away we go. So I'm excited about year number 2, and I hope the board is too, as much as everyone. I know they are. And so with that being said, I'd like to call this meeting to order. And Wade, I'll let you help us along here.
Certainly. Just a couple things to add to that. As you mentioned, we did have 160 plus people on the plane outbound today. We had a record number of wheelchairs, which creates a lot of interesting things for us in terms of moving wheelchairs from one side of the airport to the other. We had a large number of snowbirds on the flight today as well, and families with young children as well. So it was pretty interesting. As Sam also mentioned, it was the first time we've been able to see our concessions area open and operating, and people buying subs out there, which is a good thing. It's definitely helps out our passenger base as well. But one of the things that really I think hit me when I was out there was the fact that again, holding the doors, helping people out, so on and so forth. But there was an elderly lady from Kingston that was there on the flight. Mm-hmm. And she said, I've used Ogdensburg 4 times last year. I love you guys. I can fly direct to my destination, and that's what it's all about right there, is that's the type of passenger that we're after, the passenger from southeastern Canada and also northern New York, who arguably comes across our bridge and pays the toll, but it is there, and it's definitely a value add for the North Country community in southern Canada as well. And it's great to see that happening right here in Ogdensburg, plus all the various connections that you saw out there as well. From airport to people and people to people out there. So it was successful. A couple things on the agenda today. I apologize as we're a little late on the administrative side. It's not as robust an agenda as it has been before. There's not a lot of links there. But we do have the basics of it down, and we'll work to regroup and move on as we find a replacement for an individual who's been here for a large amount of time. So we'll get there, but we aren't there yet.
Would it be best to go to executive session now?
We could do that. One half of our executive session folks are here. And as they are in the room, I would say there would be a need to go to executive session for matters leading to the appointment of a corporation.
I'll move that.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Record show, it's 5:50 PM. We come out of executive session. Any action, Mr. Davis?
There's no action from the executive session, Mr. Chairman, but given the fact that we have limited quorum, I would recommend that we go into business items if possible.
All right, I'll take that recommendation. So let's move into our action agenda.
Mr. Chairman, there is one item that technically we need to do prior to the business items, and that would be agenda item E1, which is a hard copy that's also in front of you. That's the adoption of a special rule of order for the consent agenda, for the use of the consent agenda.
I'll move for discussion.
I'll second. Discussion. You want to elaborate on this?
Sure. This is a tool that's used for efficiency and effectiveness of boards. We've used this in the past, but as Mr. Burns correctly pointed out the other day, we don't have anything technically that says that we can do it, even though we've done it before. So based on that, in order to utilize the tool, the consent agenda may be presented at the beginning of the meeting. Items may be removed from the consent agenda on the request of any one member. Items not removed then may be adopted by general consent without debate. Removed items may be taken up immediately after the consent agenda or placed on a later agenda at the discretion of the board. That language, if adopted by this body, allows us to use the consent agenda moving forward and gets us in technical compliance. As where Mr. Burns pointed out, we should rarely be.
Does that have to go to the governance committee?
Bylaws.
Just a bylaw today?
It's just interpretation how to use your bylaws.
Okay.
Right. Well, Mr. Burns, thank you for reading the rules. Obviously, some of the things that we are remiss on, whatever, and so obviously we want to run the meetings the way effectively as can be and efficient as possible. So it's my belief that this is the way to do this. So I have a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, under ordinary circumstances, I would oppose this, but because I have to leave shortly, and if I voted against this, I would effectively shut down this meeting. So, I will vote for this with the amended so that it goes to the bylaws committee at the next convenient meeting that committee could convene.
So we'll use this as is, and then the recommendation is for the bylaws committee, governance committee to review this to see if this is the right way to go or use it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. But I appreciate not shutting the meeting down, that's important for
So we
effectiveness.
still need to hurry,
where-
though.
So, well, I obviously.
So I'll
Chair-
amend the resolution that this proposal, that we follow this special rule of order tonight at this meeting, at this meeting only, and that this request be forwarded to the bylaws committee at the next meeting of that committee.
As we don't have any administrative staff in the room, so under the further resolve that this proposal be reviewed by bylaws and used for this meeting only?
Yes.
Does that meet your?
Yes, it does. So I need a second to that amendment.
I'll second.
Yeah. All in favor of that?
All right.
Aye. Okay. So now back to the main resolution, okay? As amended, need a motion to move that forward?
So moved as amended.
Okay, Sam
I'll
second?
Yep.
Okay. All in favor of that resolution as presented?
Aye.
Aye. So now we're back to the bylaws committee for, okay, thanks, Sam.
Okay, I'll make sure that gets referred over there. Under the general business items, there was a request made to, could we break it up along the lines of the new leases and then the old leases or the supplemental renewals? So that's what we did. Under the first one, there was only one, and that's Cortec. That's the company formerly known as Penske. So consent agenda item A1 for approval of new lease agreements. There's Cortec at the rates, terms, and conditions you see before you.
I'm sorry, this is a point of order. Is this, is A1, 2, and 3 all part of the consent agenda?
A1A is new lease agreement only. And then there's a separate consent agenda for the supplementals. So no, it's not one combined
But if
thing.
this was all given to us beforehand, I
Mhm.
don't know, I looked at all of them, and because it is part of the consent agenda and nothing looks out of order, why don't we just approve the entire consent agenda, which would be 1, 2, and 3?
Oh, as one consent
Yes.
agenda? There would be no reason you couldn't do that.
Oh, I make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
I would second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So that puts us on D.
I would just point out that there's a typo in. Find it. CAB technology is not till 2000. Let's see.
So let the record show we're talking about general administration item, consent agenda item, supplemental lease agreement,
A2 technology.
A2A.
Yeah, it actually, it's a 2-year agreement, runs to 9/30/2019.
9/30/2019. We'll make that correction. in the
That's just a
letter.
typo, John?
Well, it's on page 20 of the document, it does say 19.
Yeah.
On the expiration date.
Got it. So that brings us down to item B, then such other matters. There are 2 items. Apologize here, I'm struggling because there's actually 3. So the first item is the approval of an operating agreement with Lyft at the airport. Lyft, as you know, is a competitor to Uber. Uber and Lyft were just allowed in this region, and this is an agreement that was negotiated through our agent on the airport's behalf with respect to Lyft. And this would allow you to get picked up at the airport and would provide the airport with $1 every time that occurs.
I think this provides a tremendous opportunity for people who don't need to rent a car but need a ride. It's a huge supplement, and it allows local economic development for people who want to make a little side money or make all their income. I think it's fantastic.
It helps, particularly because we don't have a robust CAD fleet here. It
Yeah.
helps the individual key into exactly that, and it's another facet of how the airport has some unintended economic development consequences as well, human opportunities. So.
Very happy to see it.
Does Lyft at the present time have individuals in the community that will be able to provide the service?
At this time, when I logged on let me back up half a step. I recently came from some training, and when I was at the training, I didn't take any taxis at all. I exclusively used Lyft. I used the variety of different, I wanted to be able to speak with some kind of authority on this and say, okay, what is it, and understand it. So I tried, on one of them I tried, again, it's personal travel, but I tried the luxury option. I tried the rideshare option and met some very interesting people from DC as a result. And I tried the standalone option there as well. And my experience with it in a different market, of course, than Ogdensburg, to a place I typically travel, my cab fare was less than a third of what it normally is. Using Lyft was actually faster. The hotels and the airports, though, took the opposite approach that I'm going to recommend. They tended to put Lyft and Uber and everything else way over in the back corner, back field, somewhere like that. I'm suggesting that with the Ogdensburg airport and the weakness and ineffectiveness of our taxi fleet, that we put them right up prime front and center, right off baggage claim right there, to make it more convenient. So it's the wave of the future, so why not try and embrace it right up front, and instead of going with the old model. But
This service will be on our website.
no, this service has its own app,
Yeah.
that you can download and put on your phone, and you can also do it through the website as well. Not our website, through Lyft's
Okay.
website.
What is our experience with local cab vendors?
It has been horrible for our pastors, particularly the ones that fly in and think they're going to get one.
Okay, enough said.
Substantial room for improvement.
This closes a huge gap.
I can say we took people from the airport and give them a ride right here to the bridge, so waited somebody to come and get them, because they couldn't get a cab.
You know, one of the things that you ask yourself when you provide a contract or whatever for a service, there is an obligation for cab companies to register themselves and pay a fee per se, whatever. Nobody wishes to pay a fee. Nobody wishes to do the type of things that they do at a normal airport. And so, and then the service isn't there either. So I'm not sure this year would be better. I'd like to think it's better once they start to understand what we have as an airport. But you have to also think 80% of our passengers are where? From Canada. So, I mean, how many really do need a taxi here? I'm not sure, but I know myself, I've given people rides that need a ride because there was no taxi when I was out there, but that's what it is.
And Lyft can drop off in Canada, but cannot pick up in Canada yet.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I'll move that.
good.
I'll second.
Do you want record Megan to be second?
I can-
No, it's.
I can have my second.
It was close. Sam, all right, Sam, you seconded. Call the roll, please.
I apologize, I was goofing off there for a second, I
All
think.
right.
So the primary on the motion was Megan?
No,
No.
Doug.
Doug?
Doug, and then
Okay.
Sam.
I
And-
I
Roll
second.
call.
Okay, so not recalling where we started off last time, let's do
No.
ladies first. Ms. Winton,
Yes.
Mr. Lamancha,
Yes.
Mr. Loeffler,
Yes.
and Mr. Burns.
Yes.
Motion carries. Second item is we need to have an MOU with CSEA and CSEA employee due to a unique situation.
And this satisfies the employee, is agreeable to the union and with the authority.
With your approval, yes. It
I
is.
move the resolution, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'll second that. Any questions, comments? Clerk, call the roll? Or Mr. Davis, call the roll?
We need some help here.
Yeah.
Mr. Lamancha,
Yes.
Mr. Loeffler.
Yes.
Mr. Burns.
Yes.
Ms. Whitten.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. And last item is an approval of a signature authorization for KeyBank. When we were going through doing the signatures last time, we missed one thing, and that is KeyBank. So as part of the Volo OBPA relationship, where Volo is our agent, Volo has to have access to the Aviation FBO account. We need to have a board resolution authorizing that access for their controller and their senior vice president. of
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
aviation.
I'll second.
Girl.
Any further questions, comments? Clerk call the roll.
Mr. Loughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Burns.
Yes.
Ms. Whitten.
Yes.
And Mr. Lemaitre.
Yes.
Motion carries.
We could, I know that for Mr. Burns has to leave. Mr. Coffin had a medical issue that he had to attend to, so he had to leave. Anything you want to add before you go? or-
There is one item. I know we were waiting to appoint a CFO before we met our part of the group for the ILA Health and Welfare Committee, and we've done that.
Mhm.
Have you had an opportunity to meet with them yet?
I have not met with them yet. I will be calling somebody from their law firm
Jonathan
Yeah.
Cerrito, who is
Tomorrow.
the trustee.
tomorrow,
Plan trustee.
Friday, and making my first contact with them.
Good. I just ask that the sooner the better. I know they've been waiting. Let's put our best foot forward.
They have. They've been very good and waiting very patiently.
Thank you.
Real quick here, next meeting is November 1st. That work for everybody?
Are these all the first Wednesdays of the month?
These are all the first Wednesdays of the month, with the exception of July 11th, 2018, which was moved due to the position of fourth.
I know myself on December 6th I will not be here. So maybe we ought to,
Well,
I would also advise for budget purposes, if you could move that to somewhere mid-month, that might be a little
which one, the November meeting?
December.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
I won't be here on the 1st. I've got
November
a
1st?
court appearance at 3:30.
actually, if we can get away from the first Wednesday of the month, it would make me happy.
Well, I think so for
Just so
all
you
the
know.
voting type of things, want to move it up a week to the 8th?
Yeah, I'm still in court.
What, Meg?
I'm still in court.
Still
We have a
in
bed there for us.
I know.
court? 15th?
Yep, you got a winner.
November 15th. Yeah, we're not gonna get everybody anyway, so don't.
15th.
What do you want to shoot for? Sam, how does it work for you? 15th,
15
good?
works for me.
Yeah, I'll be out.
Be advised, there may also be a need for a special meeting in between now and then
Yeah.
as well, for the
Mhm.
appointment of the administrative assistant and/or permanent airport manager for replacement.
So what do we
You
do
don't want
for
to wait that long, wait?
December 13th on the next one.
December
Does that
13th?
work for you, Megan, the 13th?
Of December?
Yeah. Well, we can work about that when we get there, I guess.
That's 3:30, Mr. Chapman, on the 15th.
Yes.
Are we into discussion, or all we got?
No, we have to, yeah, we're just, Sam has to go, so we're just trying to do some cleaning up here or whatever.
So we're on for November 15th.
November 15th.
November 15th. We haven't changed
All set?
December yet.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
I know you have to leave.
Just need to have a motion to close the meeting. Or otherwise you need to use.
Oh, we have to close the meeting, okay, yep. I was thinking we could have some reports here, whatever.
We can, but we'll do that.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.